I'm Katie Cowan, and this is the Creative Boom podcast, where we bring you fun and honest conversations with creative people every Monday. For episode 39, my guest is Morag Myerscough, although how to describe her is something of a challenge. Morag has enjoyed many adventures and creative disciplines over the years, but has never really settled on any label. To you and I, we might describe Morag as an artist and designer, but to look at her colourful new website, launched just last year, she tends to focus on her work instead. It's actually her mantra that she highlights first on her About page: make happy those who are near, and those who are far will come. A winner of many notable awards and honorary titles, Morag's probably best known for her bold and colourful public installations and architectural projects, ones that tap into the local community and surrounding environments, from schools and hospitals to cultural hubs and town centres. Her strong visual approach is instantly recognisable and firmly rooted in the idea of creating a sense of joy and belonging. It's actually the very notion of belonging that Morag is quite obsessed with, something we'll discover more of in this fascinating chat about her life and work. And for someone so inspired by community, I was keen to find out how Morag has coped with recent events, even how she's managed to stay so creative and positive during the last 12 months. But first, let me take a moment to thank our sponsor for Season 2, which is Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp with 6 campuses around the world and a new online course. We'll be meeting one of Shillington's lecturers later in the show to hear some helpful career advice. Meanwhile, here's my chat with Morag. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This is just lovely to see your face and have that joyful backdrop of your artwork there. And, you know, what a great way to spend a lockdown Wednesday.
Hello. And
Hello.
The sun's out today. And so, much better day. Good day.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And I like that I've changed rooms and you spotted immediately the Paddington on my bed. There's a lovely story behind that, actually. That belonged to my Auntie Veronica, who was my mum's sister. And that was her toy that she always cuddled. She had Down syndrome, so she was very much kind of a kid right up until her last days. So, and my best friend. And she was my first words, Lala.
So that's great, having objects around you that mean things. I think that's, for me, I've got rid of loads of things that don't mean anything, just keeping the ones that have a sentimental value. I think it's important.
Did you do that kind of whole was it Marie Kondo? Did you do the kind of, this means something to me, and then you put the rest?
No, I think it was when I got rid of, I just did get rid of loads and loads of stuff. It was volume as much as anything else. and also because I'd had something so long, I didn't even know why I had them.
Oh gosh.
So I looked at it and I thought, well, I don't really, which is probably her thing. I have watched those programs. That program is terrible and horrible. But I did get the start. I did try and look at things and then think, well, I obviously have kept this weird thing for a really long time, but I have no memory of it now. So out. And I did, it was good. It's very therapeutic to cleanse your life for different chapters that you're going
definitely.
to.
It's like sorting out your brain, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And you have to do that with your computer as well. It's the same. When it gets too messy, that has to be tidied up. So does your surroundings.
Absolutely. And I suppose we had loads of time for it last year, didn't we? Gosh.
Yeah. But also time I wanted, really, because I'd been so busy for so many years that I'd never really stopped and used things in the way that they should be used. I think I lived a very sort of transient moving around and stuff. So it was quite nice to get to know myself living in a house in a different way.
Yeah, because you kept us all really entertained as well on Instagram with all these wonderful kind of home projects, painting. I mean, obviously, Morag, you're going to do it with this extra finesse and colour. And that was one of the things that kept me going last year, and certainly lots of other people.
I've always got to have something to do. And I'd wanted to do certain things in my house for years and years. And now actually I have put my house up for sale, but that wasn't when I was doing it. Obviously, I didn't have that in my head because it's all lots and lots of different colours. And I think if you had a selling head on, you would be thinking of maybe slightly more demure colours or
grey,
something like that.
Maybe a little bit of pink and black.
But I mean, the only reason I've come to that conclusion is because I really, really want to build a garden from scratch.
Right.
Like really
okay.
do like a real garden. And that is one of the things that I've always yearned for. And I think like many, many other people, this period of time has made that yearning even more. And how whatever configuration I do of my building, and I do have a big terrace and it's great, but whatever configuration I do, I would never get that space, outside space that I have yearned for. And I just feel like it's a moment in time to make a big change. And that's the reason. Otherwise, if I don't do it now, I will stay here forever because I love it. And I talk about it all the time, my home. And
yeah, I mean, it was kind of where you felt you belonged for a long time, because that's a theme in a lot of your work, isn't it?
Exactly. But I think from working with different communities about what belonging means to you, belonging changes as you go through life. And I found this place for 15 years. It has felt absolutely the right thing for me in what I was doing during that time. But now with the pandemic, with things changing, I believe I have, another good 15, hopefully 20, 25 healthy years left. And I want to take on a different challenge, so, and then belonging is, I mean, living right in the center of everything meant everything to me. But now actually, when we've been isolated so much, actually isolation is okay with me. So there's different things. So it has been a real year of learning and understanding. Whereas actually, if it hadn't happened, which obviously would have been the preference, I probably, thinking back, should have maybe taken a year sabbatical or something to actually give myself the time that this period of time has given me in a way.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. We've all kind of had a chance to slow down and really think about our lives, haven't we? And lots of people leaving the cities. Are you actually going to leave London? Maura?
No, well, this is a funny old one. I'm London born, London bred. It is what even when I used to go to the Royal College at Hyde Park, I had a problem that the park was across the road and it wasn't buildings. It was a bit weird. So I did go on a little bit of a recce to see some things before this lockdown and this current lockdown stuff, when we were allowed to go out a bit. And I realised that I just do not want to live somewhere where I'm dependent on cars. Because I had an electric car, the first G-Wiz, that I was like massive promoter of electric cars, and I haven't had a car for quite a while. And I actually don't want to be dependent on driving everywhere. And I'm not saying, obviously there's lots of places in the country that I can live that isn't the case. But for me, the London, just moving around on the network that's there, I don't know, that actually gives me more freedom in a weird way. And so out of looking at places, in the end, I have come to the conclusion that I would like to be in London. But I never say never, I think you should leave your mind open to things. And if the right thing came along and I felt it was right, when I came and looked at this building, immediately I just said, yeah, I wanted it, and if I found somewhere that was, in the middle of nowhere and it felt right, I mean, maybe that's where I belong for my next chapter, So, because belonging does really, really change, and you should never think that just because you've said one thing that you can't embrace another development in your life, because we live much longer lives, and also I've never been... I haven't had children, so I don't have that connection in the same way to a specific space as if I brought my children up there or something like that. So And it was also really interesting recently because my mother's house, my family house, had been there for over 100 years, a part of my family. And then we just sold that. And actually, it didn't feel as bad as I thought it would feel. So because we did that, and that just happened at the end of last year, I thought, actually, you know, you can do these things as well. And because it's about the memories and the thoughts you keep with you and the period of time that you've had that feeling.
Yeah. No, it's true, because I think you're right. We do place a lot of emphasis on bricks and mortar, don't we? And we all spend an awful lot of time trying to sort of almost tie our souls to the ground in this chaotic world. And so that, I think I totally get where you're coming from with this need we all have for a belonging. Where do we belong? Where do we feel like we can call home, especially when our sort of family home isn't where we live anymore? And I think we probably spend our whole lives searching for that kind of meaning and that kind of rootedness.
Absolutely. And obviously it's very transient, isn't it? And it changes all the time. And I think the most important thing is to allow yourself, which is a very hard thing to do, is to allow yourself to take on new things, especially the more ingrained or set in a place you are, you know, and really analyze why you want those things or you don't want those things or whatever. So I think that it's just good to just always progress or evolve. I think evolve is really, because just when I think of my parents, mum and dad, who when they were my age and I am the age, you know, and I was like a lot younger. You know, there was a sort of point where it just stayed. Yeah. They just stayed like that. And I know that was down to the fact they didn't have any money and all sorts of things. You know, there were many things to that. And also it was historically connected to my dad's family, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think when you've observed something, you often choose the opposite to what you've experienced in life, really, possibly, you know, like really sort of suburban parents have punk children, you know, that's, you know, it's a sort of reaction, isn't it? You know? Well,
yeah, I grew up in a small town and now I'm in the city and
I'm sure if I had children, they would only walk around in grey and hate and just hate their mother because she was full of colour, you know. I'm sure that's what it would be.
Oh, gosh, can you imagine? But, yeah, you're right. We're very lucky. I don't have children on purpose. And, we're very lucky, but it's also a curse, isn't it? Because we just have so much choice. And I think a lot of people probably do end up in the same sort of position because their children are sort of in schools and they've just kind of got a really good settled. But for me, I'm always sort of like looking for the next adventure and the next kind of chapter.
Yeah, and I think that's healthy. You know, I don't think that's because you haven't found what you wanted. You just want to have a sort of as many experiences or whatever you want, you know. So we do have freedom, which is definitely fantastic.
Definitely enjoyable. Yeah. Okay, so I couldn't help but notice your beautiful house on the Modern House and looked at all the gorgeous photographs. And I've got a couple of questions, which I'm sure most of our listeners have as well. Because I actually asked on Twitter just now, I was like, has anybody got any questions just before I chat to Morag at 12 o'clock? And somebody was like, no, can you just completely have a fangirl moment and just talk about her house, please? Which I thought was adorable because I'm exactly going to do that now. Okay. So how was it when you first bought it 15 years ago? Was it a former pub?
Yeah, but it wasn't a pub when I didn't, right. The people out there who think that I've tried to close down a pub, I did not close down that pub.
Oh, no, that was not what I was implying,
No,
darling.
There was somebody who'd put a message somewhere where it's like, oh, it should have been, it should have been a pub or something. But actually, as far as I know, it's weird, isn't it? Even the history of things, you don't really know very far back. But I was told by somebody that it was the Beaver's Arms pub, and what was really amazing along this particular road, it's the only building that really withstood the Blitz, because this road was actually blitzed and it was terrible. There were lots and lots of people died, but because breweries built buildings to last, this one seemed to have not actually have got much damage from it. Then I don't know when it closed from being a pub. But then in the 1970s, there was a guy who had a car. He did something with cars. I don't know what it was. He built cars or something. And I think he built the two bits on the back, which I think were originally a yard, which would have probably been where horses came. I don't know anything about pubs or, those sort of. And then, as far as I understand, the next owner who I bought it off was Tom Watkins, who was the East 17 manager who had massive management. And then he worked with some people and they stripped it all out and converted it to what it is now. And then I actually haven't changed the conversion. I had done a building before where I had spent loads on architectural stuff, and I came here and was like, no more, I'm just going to paint this place white. So actually, I haven't really changed the structure of it. I just kept it as it was because I liked it. And I think that he probably did things in the 90s.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
It's a beautiful house, beautiful building.
Yeah, it is huge. And
I've been looking around.
It's 4,500 square feet, so it is huge. Yeah, it is good.
That's wonderful. And I was like looking at all the sort of pictures and I noticed in one of them there was like a man sat on a sofa and I was like, that's a bit unusual to have a person in a sort of property picture. And then I realised it was Elvis's head. What's the fascination with Elvis? Because when I started to look around, there was loads of more nods to Elvis in the 50s and the 60s. Oh,
yeah. Well, Luke's rockabilly. So Elvis is his absolute icon. And so we have a lot. It's very rock and roll. The artwork's on our wall.
Very cool.
The Sex Pistols and that was Pure Evil, the Elvis on the wall. So we have a bit of a mixture of his work, my work, Luke's work as well, and also my mum's textiles are on the wall. So
fab.
Maybe there was the penguin you might have seen coming up the stairs, or there's a skinny lady. That's my mum's work from the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, which is what you rebelled against. You decided not to follow in her footsteps.
Well, yeah, I didn't rebel against her in every way because she taught me how to see colour. So I've taken that baton forward. But I was naturally a textile person, but I didn't want to follow my mother in that way. And I think it was good because she was really good at it and I would have, I don't know, maybe not been as good as her.
I think, well, you just don't know, do you? But I think it's quite a natural thing to want to sort of make our own kind of path, I guess. Especially when you come from like such successful, heritage.
Creative, yeah.
Absolutely. And then I spotted that there's a sideboard with the word bastard on it. Bastard. You see that's the difference. You're from the south, I'm from the north. I say bastard, you say bastard.
Yeah. I'm definitely London accent. That's our bastard sideboard. When in 2002, 2003, I had a shop called Her House and I had products in my shop. And at that time, there was when I first met Luke, actually, and we made products because I wanted to break away from what I was doing. So the only way you can do that is actually go and initiate things yourself. So we started making products and going to Designers Block and going to Milan and Spain and things like that and show our work. So one of our products was the bastard sideboard and Luke's did a bollocks table. And so it was just all that sort of, and we had bitch hats. I mean, now it feels a bit sort of, obvious, but it was quite radical at the time because it was 20 years ago. So, and people were still surprised about, somebody was asking me, does that read custard? Because they could only see the tarred bit.
Oh, well, that just goes to show she's got much more of an innocent mind than mine.
Well, do you know about my neon that I did in the British library, and it was in the news, it was in the Independent or Guardian, where they were going to close, they were all going to go on strike if they put it up. Where I wrote,
no, I can't remember that. No.
Has anybody seen Mike Hunt? And it doesn't say the word, though. I have done one
What is wrong with that? Come on.
I have done a bunch of cunts as well, where it did say the word, and a school party had to go out the other way. So, yes, so I am I'm a bit Tourette's, aren't I?
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to have to make this podcast episode explicit. For using the C word. You dropped the C bomb. Wonderful. I love it. Let's carry on.
You can cut all that, don't worry.
Oh, no, I won't. I'm keeping it in. It's brilliant. I was going to ask about the car in the garage.
That must be Luke's. I think
wow.
You're definitely veering towards Luke's things. Mine's all the modernist furniture.
I'm into that. You know.
Luke, it's an El Camino 1959, and he's been restoring it for quite a long time, because Luke only had a space in the building in 2017. So that space that he's in used to be my studio. And then he was in Beckham Green, and the rail track took over all the arches. You know, they just emptied everybody out. So I offered him if he wanted to come into this building, because this building I own, and it's my. And I asked him if he wanted to come in, and I think with trepidation and no alternative, he decided he would go for it. And I think I can't believe he took such a long time to agree.
Yeah, gosh. And it worked so well.
12 years.
Did it really? Oh, you're both quite independent though, I suppose.
Yeah, so we were, very set. But it's worked out all right. It was a bit nerve-wracking that we would be with each other all the time. But actually the space is big enough. So he's in his and I'm in mine, and we're in different spaces. So it isn't as sort of on top of each other in a way... that I think maybe that wouldn't work.
I think that's the best relationships, where you're both kind of independent spirits and you need your own space, but you'll come together sometimes for a cup of tea and a chat, and then you just disappear again and do your own thing.
I definitely think if it's possible for anybody in their lives to have one space that has got all their own things in it, that they can express themselves in, I think that is that's the reason why I was so excited about buying this building, because when I was one of three girls and we all shared the same bedroom, and I literally had a cupboard that was my own. That was it. Everything was shared. Everything was, my dad wasn't really that type of father who wanted to get lots of bedrooms for his daughter. He was like...
Just threw you all in there.
Yeah. And so that's why, for me, that's why I felt I belonged here, because I was able to express myself. And if I get up in the morning, we've got workshop, we can do whatever we want. If it comes into my head, I can make something. And even though my parents, they made things and did things all the time, it was always in a quite restrictive manner. So and that's maybe why I also like doing really big things.
Okay, so we've got you on the programme with Kirsty and Phil. Location, Morag. It's that lovely intro bit at the moment, and we're asking you, I'm like putting the camera in your face and saying, what's the next property got to be? What's it got to have?
A massive, massive outside space. Because Luke, it's as much for Luke as for me.
Yeah, and you've both kind of like craving that green, that possibility.
I am very selfish and I bought 2 properties in my life and never consulted anybody. Not my mum, not anybody. I just did. Oh, actually, my sister on the first one, she did look at it with me. The second one, I just decided Luke didn't, even though I was going out with him at the time, he didn't have any say in it at all. It was totally for my vision of how I wanted the next stage of my life to be. So this one has been a little bit different, where I have actually... had to let Luke in a little bit more.
You'll get some say in it, love.
But fortunately, what we want is the same, which is different, quite different, but a similar type of thing. So that's what we're looking for. Something I like lateral living. So something that's directly onto an outside space. So
that sounds dreamy.
So that's really what we're looking for. He wants to be able to work on his car outside in the summer, and
Because you love traveling, don't you? So I suppose I feel the same. I feel like the next house I buy, I really want some bigger outdoor space because it's just something we took for granted. I think when we live in the city, we're able to escape normally and go and travel and see the world and have the privilege of doing that. But now that's sort of gone. I guess it kind of just shone a light really kind of brightly on the fact that we don't have that green space. We just have little courtyards, or in your case, a balcony, a big penthouse.
Big terrace, yeah. Terrace. I mean, it is the size of a garden, nice. But and I can grow lots of tomatoes, but I don't have the scope that I want. And I don't think that I'll never travel. You know, obviously I want to travel again, but I think that maybe I will plan my time slightly differently than I did in the past. So I think, I think, you know, and I want to grow vegetables and stuff, which I know everybody, you know, but I'm very good at growing tomatoes. So if the other vegetables don't work, I'll have a lot of tomatoes.
Lots of colour, lots of beautiful vegetables. I can see it now. Well, aside from decorating your house and dreaming of green space, you also found last year some time to work on some community projects, which is wonderful. You did the Superheroes We Love You up in Leeds, and then you kind of replicated that on your house in Hoxton. Was that something that brought the community together near you, or did you know your neighbours before?
It's a very cheek to jowl, you know, it's very close, intimate community, but actually, as London always is, you don't really know your community very well unless you make a point of talking to them, and usually that's more like shop owners and things than actually probably your immediate neighbours. But when we were out in the street, it was fantastic because I've had that wall for all this time, and I've thought of doing something to it, and I hadn't got round to it. And then this possibility came up, and I thought, yes. And then I really worried because there's two big lights that shine on it all night. And I was using some neon paint and stuff. And I was thinking, oh, my God, these neighbours are going to they're going to hate this amount of colour, you know, and is that going to be a problem? But I thought, well, we can always paint over it if somebody objects to it. And, you know, because it was an expression at that point. It wasn't necessarily there to forever or anything. And then it was just unbelievably beautiful. The people in the estate behind me, they just came, you know, kept on going out. They were beeping their horns, and they were saying how they wanted the colour in the road and the message. And then the delivery guys was like saying, please don't ever take that message down. And then there was a point when we got through the last lockdown, everybody stopped clapping and stuff like that. And I was like going, you know, is this as relevant? Should I rethink? Should I paint it again? And then it's actually become even more relevant in this new lockdown, you know, that we need to support so many people. So I think, you know, it will stay here as long as if I'm here. I don't really know what another I mean,
they might take it down.
Well, I always say if anybody, you know, I mean, we've had a few people to have a look, and I've said to the people selling, you know, don't ever think I'm not precious. You know, I don't want something to be left because people are scared or whatever, you know. And even when you come around my house, you know, if the cupboards are orange and you don't like them, paint them white. I would do it, you know. I don't care. I think you've got to make things for yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but
I mean, yeah, go on, sorry.
No, but the neighbours, it was lovely. It was a real... And the guys helping me paint it from Wood Street Walls, who are absolutely amazing guys, said they'd never had as many conversations about how people were so excited it was going up as that time. So that was lovely.
It's definitely changed a lot of how we live and work and how we think, and it's changing us, the whole pandemic and everything that's been happening. But I gather from your kind of project in Paris recently that you hate the term, like I do, the new normal, because the new now is just a really lovely way of articulating how we're all feeling, but without it being this kind of huge weighted expectation of a completely different planet and all the rest of it. So
yeah, I mean, normal is, God, I mean, you know, somebody described me as normal, I would be really upset about it, really. I mean, I don't really want to be described as crazy or wacky or anything like that, but normal, but maybe better than normal. I don't know. It's a bit like when somebody likes you. Oh, that's nice. They like you. Is that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I just felt at that time when I did it I'd been working on it for a while, but when it was actually installed in September, we were in this limbo. We still are in a limbo. I mean, we're coming out of it. I do believe we're gonna come out of it. And I am very, what do you call it? Glass half full, not glass half empty.
Oh, definitely.
So, I'm very much that we're going to come out of it. But I think the danger is when people are aspiring to a new normal or whatever, that is like something that is going to last. And actually we have to live in the now, and we have to make the most of every single day. And if, and find ways of sort of making even daily plans or things so that so it's a different way. It's a different way of thinking, and that we've had to do because, I don't even bother with my diary now. It's just not worth it. Apart from the things that pop up, in the Zooms.
You remember this?
My Zoom, and then it comes up, and then it's like, oh, okay. I think that I think to keep your sanity, you have to work in a very different way, and that's why that was why I felt that needed to be expressed.
Focusing on the now. And there's a really lovely story about the church behind that installation in Paris. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, the parishioners, the person who runs all the art in the church, he sent me this conversation that one of the parishioners has written about one of the, because the church next to it is, I've just forgotten its name, but anyway, it's very old.
Yes.
And it's got statues on it of saints, I think. And the whole piece was the saint having a conversation with the new now and talking to, that he had come there and he was colourful and he was a bit grey. And it was just this lovely sort of dialogue that they imagined between the two pieces of art. And I just thought if you make a piece of work that gives people an imagination enough to express it, in words rather than just taking a selfie or photograph or something. I just thought that was so beautiful and so wonderful. And
It sounds wonderful. And you often do that, don't you? You take what stories you can find from the surrounding area and incorporate it in your work. But you did one recently that was quite personal, close to home. It was the wonderful one in Scotland. What was it called now?
Love at First Sight.
Love at First Sight. Can you tell us about that? Why that's personal?
So this might be a long story.
Oh, no, we've got time.
We've got time. Okay. So when was it? 2018. So my mum died. So my mum died in 2017, going to 2018. Yeah. And then that year, I got a phone call from this amazing group called Look Again Festival up in Aberdeen. And they called me and they said, we'd really like you to come and do a piece of public art for our festival. And I'd never spoken to anybody in Aberdeen before or been involved with anything in Aberdeen before. But my mum taught at Grace School of Art. And my dad was on a ballet tour. I think it was 1960 or something. And he saw my mum at the top of the stairs in this boarding house. There used to be these sort of houses where you could stay for a long period of time or you could, stay overnight. I didn't really get it. It was a different time, And anyway, he saw my mum and he fell in love with my mum. And then within 3 or 4 months, they were married. So if my mum and dad hadn't met in Aberdeen, I would not actually be here. Well, they didn't. They got married first.
I gather, yes. I love all the facial expressions you're pulling during this chat that our listeners cannot see. It's brilliant. Anyway, carry on.
So it was just such a weird thing. Those weird coincidences, like when your mother just died and then you'd never had any connection like that before. And then suddenly this thing comes up. And of course, they didn't know anything about my mother being at Grace School of Art. So so then I said, yeah, I'm really, I'd really be interested in. And the original thing I was looking at was the Market Cross and the Market Cross, it's called, in the middle of the town. And it was nothing to do with anything to do with my family. And then I was paired with a fantastic, to collaborate with Joe Gilbert, a Doric poet, which is like a language there. And we were just talking, and she asked me, do I have connection? I was talking about my family. And then together we just sort of thought, well, that's an amazing story, and I was like, it was a bit personal. And she said, great. No, she was like going, no, I think, you should get over that. And then, so what we ended up doing, because also the Market Cross was a meeting place as well. So it's just when things align and you don't know why. And then we worked with the community to write a big poem about Dear Aberdeen and what they loved about Aberdeen. So because my mum and dad also communicated via letters as well for that short period of time. And we've got all their love letters, actually. It's really sweet. Yeah. And
what kind of things did they say to each other? Am I allowed to ask?
I haven't read them, actually, because I think it's inappropriate. So I've never read them. I've just seen that they're in a box. But I think one of my sisters have read them.
Have they? And what did they say? Did they give you a kind of an idea?
There's a few little things about...
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I agree with you,
about
actually.
Desire.
I don't think I'd want to... I cannot wait to hold you.
That sort of stuff. I don't really want to know that about my mum and dad.
Oh, well, that's why you're here.
I know.
Oh, how sweet. Anyway, carry on.
So then Joe wrote a poem about my mum and dad's meeting in Doric, and then the whole poem from the community was written in Doric as well. And then also we worked with the Look Again festival team, and they just got all these people. I think it took about 100 people to paint the piece of work, because I went up there, showed everybody how to paint, but obviously I couldn't stay in Aberdeen for 3 weeks. It was a long period of time when I had other things on and stuff, and it was nearly all women, like a massive team of women. And also I realised, because my mum was very, very Scottish. I mean, I don't think how can you be very, very Scottish? You're either Scottish but she was strong, sort of. And when I was up there with loads of Scottish women, I realised that actually, even though I always thought I was a Londoner, there is a huge amount of inherited Scots in me. It was fascinating. Now I'm going to start and cry.
Oh, no,
but it was just
lovely.
Fascinating to be with these people where you really, again, another sort of moment of belonging where you suddenly realise that you had, you've always been brought up in London. You think that's who you are. And then you go somewhere and then you realise that you actually have a big connection with those people because 50% of you was infiltrated by a Scottish person.
Isn't it one of the saddest things about life, the most bittersweet things of life, that we only come to really appreciate our family more as we get older? And
well, because you rebel again, you don't want to be like them, do you, for like 50 years or something?
I know. And then you start looking back at their lives and you sort of hear these stories and it just all pieces together. So I can imagine that was a really wonderful, and probably at a time when you were feeling, especially emotional.
Yeah, I mean, I think another big point in your life is my father had died sort of 12 years, I think, previous to my mother. But then there's another point where you actually have no parents, which obviously, many people experience at an earlier age than I am. And I'm very grateful that I had my parents around for as long as I did. But it does really, really change your view on life. And you don't feel that you have as much time. And I believe people feel that at various different times in their lives. It doesn't have to be about age. It's just definitely that feeling of that generation has gone and you are that generation. I'm getting a bit depressing now. So.
Oh no, it's my fault. I love talking about family and finding out these lovely little stories, and you can't help but sometimes get upset because they're so precious to us. And but there was another big project you worked on in 2019 called Atoll, and it was based on 3 terraced houses that you kind of placed, and forgive me if I'm putting words into your mouth, as an inspiration for where you grew up. So there's another kind of personal piece that sort of found its way into your work recently, which is great.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it was Finsbury Avenue because I come from Holloway and Finsbury Park was up the road, and people would go in the park. Well, all those Victorian parks were made for people to take air. If they lived in the city, they didn't have anywhere. So I turned it on the head and put it back into the to the city. So I wanted to do an inside garden, a garden put in the inside. So and then the structure was very much based on the terraced houses and the garden, not the type of plants in it, but the idea of the width of proportionally the widths of those spaces. And so, that piece of work was very much linked to personal, to my experience, but what London means to me as well. And also the tiling. When I was younger, I really, really liked the Boyle family. Do you know their work? They sort of replicated tiles. I think I went and saw them at the Hayward Gallery, and I thought it was really interesting. And then I think that they made me really look at how tiles work. And I've always been obsessed by tiles. So then to be able to make a piece of work that it was completely laser cut, to all the shapes I wanted. And it was quite like a jigsaw. It's quite complex.
Yeah, it sounds like you enjoy that aspect though, trying to sort of push yourself and challenge yourself and see what's possible.
Yeah, and also in that context, because I talk a lot about temporary, but if I do permanent, the materiality of permanent is really important to me. And for me, tiling, particularly being brought up in London and undergrounds and, tiling on pubs, and tiling seems to be a coloured substance that seems to last the test of time and for years and stays there. So I find that really fascinating as well.
We're now taking a short break to get a word from our sponsor Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp, or in this case, some creative advice from one of its lecturers at its New York campus. Marcia Decker is an artist, designer and musician originally from Arizona and now based in the Big Apple. I asked Marcia, what advice would you give to designers just starting out?
My biggest piece of advice, I would say, is try not to compare yourself to others. I know that's a really, really easy thing to do. And especially as you're, trying to find inspiration out there and follow people who you aspire, to be like, just making sure that you're always being true to who you are. And the beautiful thing about design is there's so much room for diverse voices. So as long as you are really trying to check back in with yourself and making sure that, you're doing the things that make you feel really fulfilled as a creative, then I'd say you're on the right track.
To find out more about studying graphic design in as little as 3 months online or at one of Shillington's 6 campuses around the world, visit shillingtoneducation.com. Now, back to Morag. There's history in the things that we use to decorate our spaces, and some stay. I mean, wallpaper as well, and the kind of things that you would find in an old house. Maybe in your next kind of property that you move to, you'll find it's a treasure trove of history. And will you be precious about preserving that, or will it just be a refresh?
Well, no. In the building I'm in here now, there was a stone company before here, and they put a level of marble. So in the studio here, they put this floor in that I absolutely have hated from the day one. but it works. And I just didn't feel like I hated it enough to waste a load of money to making it something else. And also in the kitchen, the black marble top, was there. I inherited that. But it is amazing. You can't break black mark. You know, it doesn't wear. So I much prefer not ripping things out and just layering onto what exists. And so it's not so much of that waste. You know, if something's been put in that was made to last, I mean, unless it's absolutely disgusting. And I wish, you know, I mean, that, you know, I would tend to work with it and find another way of working with it rather than ripping it out, if it still functions.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. And that's something that more people are taking on board now, aren't they? It's becoming almost fashionable to make, do and mend. And
yeah, but I don't even think it needs to be even as make, do and mend. I think it's about layering. And it's about keeping the layers that are worth keeping, and then, you know, and changing the other ones that will then enhance a space. So, you know, we had a marble bathroom, weird shower bath thing here. And I always thought it was like some weird men's toilet. But actually, but because of that, I sort of quite liked it, because that grey, it's quite an expensive marble. But, and it's never really worn. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. The materials that we can sometimes have and use. Yeah. Wonderful. So you've never liked to say that you've got a style?
No, I don't like the word style.
You prefer instead to say you kind of work by a mantra?
No, I have an approach. So it's interesting, Mary Portas or something, she's going to do a radio programme about style. So I'm quite interested in that. And also at the RIBA, they did a big exhibition on style. And actually they made me re-look at the word style, because they asked me to be involved in talking about it. And I was like, no, I don't want to be involved with style, because for me, style is a fashionable, changeable thing that isn't necessarily linked to a grounded approach.
Yes.
But I think I'm quite happy to be taught or to be shown that is not just the only meaning of style. I don't necessarily think Mary Portas is going to do that for me, but I did think the RIBA did actually. And by the end of it, I realised that maybe I had my own prejudices about style, the word style, that wasn't necessarily, was based on only things that a narrow word. But,
yes.
But I like, because I think the reason why style is a problem for me is I think that's what you see. It's a single one-level understanding of something. And so people think I use bright colours and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. Whereas actually I think I have an approach which is about where my head comes from, the way I think, the things that I want to express and things I want to say. And the end product of that has a similarity about it, but it
you
doesn't.
nearly said style then.
No, but it doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
But it evolves, and it doesn't mean that if I suddenly do something in a slightly different color palette, that I've changed my style. It's not about that. No. You know, it is about what that means, what those colors or whatever that structure or something means to me, and what I'm trying to say, you know.
Yeah, there's a weight behind the word style.
There's more well, there is, there isn't usually a weight behind the word style, though, usually.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that there's usually an expectation, you know, it's kind of, it's limited, I suppose.
It's limited, that's what I think. That's yes. What I believe. And I don't believe in limitations. I don't think you should put those on yourself. But some people do, though, and that's great.
And that works for them. But, you know, with you, it's an approach. And you've also just launched your website from last year, and you were sort of, again, you haven't sort of labelled yourself as an artist or designer, because the two are so different in their meaning, aren't they? We were talking about this privately in another conversation, just about how if you're a designer, then there's a completely different set of expectations from the client compared to when you're an artist.
Yeah, that is very true. And I don't think it should be that case, actually. But people have preconceived ideas if you label yourself in one or the other. And I'm as proud to be a designer as I am an artist, as I am a person who cooks food. I don't know. I don't think that I used to never want to really call myself anything as such. But in the world we live in, people like to call you things, and it makes them understand things more. But I think if you are treated slightly differently, if you're an artist or you are a designer, you are treated
definitely
differently.
Especially if the client wanted to come back and sort of change something. They're probably unlikely to do that if you're an artist because it's your style. And I presume people come to you because they want, sorry, I said the word style.
Right.
They want your approach to your work. They come to you specifically. And I think you're at that level in your career where that just naturally happens. Do you ever sort of go out and pitch anymore?
I don't think I've ever really pitched. I think you're asked to put a proposal in. I think the difference is that and that's why on my website I hate to call them commissions. I don't think so much I work with clients anymore. I think somebody told me only prostitutes have clients, but I don't know whether that's years and years ago, but I've said that to somebody else before and they said, we shouldn't really call people clients. But that has stayed with me. And I think a client, it implies that maybe they have a little bit more control over you than you want them to have. So when you're commissioned to do something, that's a different way of looking at it as well. So I have, there's a project just of interest the other day where I have to put a proposal in and, and I'm up against I'm up against other people, so it's not that I solely get projects. I don't at all. I'm often up against other people and I have to put proposals forward for them. And there are a few projects that I've initiated myself. So Sheffield Children's Hospital Courtyard, when I was working on the bedrooms, we wanted to look at the courtyard, but they ran out of money. And then I managed to, by working with Methods, get them to give me a substantial amount of money to build that courtyard. So I feel that my better use is to try and make things happen, really, than maybe pitch for my own benefit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I did have a nice question from someone on Twitter. They were sort of asking, if somebody came to you and it was a dream project and they insisted in the brief that things were done with a very muted palette, would Morag actually go ahead and do it?
No. If they came to me with that already written in the brief, they came to the wrong person. But if they came to me and I responded to it, because sometimes in my work, for example, in the interiors, I may only use the natural material and let the light come in, and I don't use colours. And, if I responded to it and did it more muted than they probably wanted, they probably wouldn't want it anyway, because that's not the reason they came to me. So
no, exactly.
It's sort of weird. So if I did give them a response that was muted, I doubt anybody they'd go, why? Well, we didn't come to you. So exactly. I think they wouldn't. I don't think. Muted palette's strange. That's implying a choice of colour. If it was something about materiality and light, it could be interesting. If somebody said to me, could you have as much impact with, you can only use wood and light or something, I would maybe take that challenge on.
That's an interesting challenge.
Or something, and I get colour from other places, be it the landscape, be it things like that. So, so it would depend on how it was, pitched. requested. Well, no, we don't use the word pitched. None of all those corporate words are how it was briefed to you or how it was written out.
Got it. No clients, no style, no briefs.
No.
No pitch.
No, because I'm not a prostitute. No.
No prostitutes.
No, I don't think, I don't even know. I do remember who told me that, but I don't believe that's true, obviously.
Is that the sentiment a little bit behind the free installation at the Design Museum? Artist, maker, user?
The sentiment
Designer,
of not having a client, or
no, just the labels, the meaning of words and the sort of weight behind them.
That was a 5-year project that nearly killed me, actually. It was very, very long and a very, very hard project. And I worked with everybody on that, and the start of the project was sort of what is design, and actually it ended with designer, maker, user, or designer, user, maker. I like the user in the middle, but we didn't do that in the end because that was the 3 things that the products, that was a 3-way conversation, really. That was why you do things. And so if you just use the word designer only, that's naive, isn't it? Because that's not the way it works.
It's just not what you do, is it?
No, well, you need all the 3 to work, because if you don't have a need, you won't design something, and then if you can't make it, so it was this sort of 3 things that needed to exist to work together to make good design. So I mean, you're pushing me. This was 2016, and I mean, when the thing about me, well, particularly in the past, I would be very much when I designed and when I did exhibitions and all that sort of stuff. I very much was like a method actor, and I would take on absolutely every minuscule bit of information, understand it fully. And then I would, once the project's done, my brain would empty of it. And unless you got to ask me something in the first month afterwards, I don't really remember anything. And I realise now that that's the only way you can do new things. I'm so the opposite to a historian. I just do not retain. That's why when I started at the beginning of the conversation, I've got all this stuff. I don't even know why I've got it anymore, because I just don't retain that sort of type of depth of information in my head.
You're in the now.
But when I'm there and I'm doing it, I know it better. Like when I work for big companies and stuff, I knew their company better than them. They used to use me to present their company.
Because you really immerse yourself in the research at the time.
I really immerse myself totally into the thing, and totally to be able. And I think that to get good results, you can't skim the surface. You do have to do that. But then the work I'm doing now, because it has a level of continuity, in a way, I'm doing the same, but I'm doing it to myself, which is sort of a strange thing as well.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me, I think, of the work I'm doing at the moment is really working with communities and listening to people and letting people have a voice and letting people make that work. If they want to do it with you, or if you just enable them to do things, I think that is really, really key and really, really, really stimulating for me as well. And it's a 2-way, it's a very different thing from being, I'm the designer and this makes this happen. It's about a 2-way conversation, and within that you find people's strengths, and then you work with their strengths, and then they find their voice within it. And the voice, it's not always people want to make the final work or anything like that. They often want to employ you because they like your work, and they want to have that work somewhere, but they want you to make the work that makes it connect to them or belong to them, or they're part of it, So when you work with groups of people, there's no formula, it's absolutely organic. And that's what's fascinating. And you have to be adaptable to those situations. And that stimulates me much, much more than me being given I don't know, something, I don't know what compared to, but, it is a thing that stimulates me the most at the moment. I'm just trying to understand why we're doing things and not just making things for the sake of making them as well.
Definitely. I mean, all of your work is very joyful and positive, and now and again, obviously dips into sort of political, social themes. Make Happy in Hong Kong was very timely. Was that? Did you actually visit the site where that was going to happen?
No, I mean that was the beginning of all this disruption, actually, because they had disruption throughout the 2019, and I was aiming to go there for quite a long time, and also I went to Chile, and then there was the disruption there, so we were housebound when we went to Chile as well. Everything stopped for the reason, and then I came back, and then it's just been continuous, and then the pandemic. So they did, though, at the beginning of end of 2019, 2020, they did make my installation in Hong Kong. I couldn't go and see it because they were allowed out. It was more the demonstrations they had rather than a pandemic at that time. And it was really wonderful. Everybody really loved it. But the Make Happy, those who are near, those who are far, is a Chinese proverb. And because the problem with the Chinese, I was really nervous that they didn't want to use that proverb. But weirdly, actually, in that context, I wanted to use bamboo scaffolding because I use a lot of scaffolding, and I've always wanted to use bamboo because it's a very sustainable material. And actually in China, what they didn't want me to, in Hong Kong, they didn't want me to use the bamboo scaffolding because they thought that was too referencing Chinese structures.
Sure.
But the proverb was okay. That was fine. I respected that. That's fine. And now, though, in London, in Grosvenor Square, I have made a piece of work out of bamboo because I was not looking as the bamboo as a cultural actual thing, maybe naively. I was looking at it as a material that was readily available and was the right one to use, So... But I have managed to make a bamboo structure here, which has been really good. And so it's one of my ambitions, and I'm glad I made that happen.
Great. What else do you have a dream to do? What commission is kind of on the horizon that you've not yet had the chance to get your teeth into? Well,
the one that I will want to do, and if I do get a house that has a garden, I have actually, saying that I haven't pitched this, I have tried to get my chrysanthemum house made. So Finsbury Park used to have a chrysanthemum house, and the Chrysanthemum Society used to be around Finsbury Park, in Stoke Newington. And chrysanthemums in Victorian times were one of the only plants that flowered in the winter. So it was a way of bringing colour to a very grey environment. We've got a lot more options now, but in those days they didn't really have that, So, and I love the idea of building a chrysanthemum house. So just the plant, and this winter, it was all on my Instagram. I did test and I grew chrysanthemums, and they do grow in the winter and outside. Great. And so I had tried on many commissions that I've been asked to propose. I proposed a chrysanthemum house. I haven't quite got there yet. But so if I don't manage to actually get it there, I will build one in wherever I go next. I think I will build my own chrysanthemum house. It might be a bit smaller, but...
it sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to visiting it. I'm sure it will come true. I'm going to try very hard. So that's the one that has stayed on my mind for quite a while. But the biggest one that the project that I'm so excited about that is actually going to happen is the Sheffield Children's Hospital courtyard. So fantastic.
We can go back into hospitals now. Well, I won't be able to necessarily, but in March, we can plan now a little bit for March, April, because a lot of the hospital staff have had their vaccines. It's not so dangerous for people to go into the hospitals. Not yet, but in a few months' time. And in that context, we do have to plan. We've waited 2 years to try and make this happen. So that's a big mission to get that in place for people to enjoy as well.
So you're bringing a lot of joy with lots of colour and hopefully flowers soon. And the messages, the simple messages that you have in a lot of your work are just so lovely, so simple, but just give that positivity, that glass half full. Sundance was a favourite last year. That really kind of summed up that lockdown, didn't it? When we were all kind of secretly enjoying it, enjoying the kind of calmer pace and the bird song and everything that came out of that first lockdown.
Well, I think it was a response to, everybody, money has been difficult, things have been difficult, you can't go to places, but you can always dance. And you can always dance in the sun, and you can dance on your own. And dancing is really, really joyful. So that was really the response. And Jack Arts, I don't know, you've probably seen a lot of their prints. It is Hollywood something.
Bollywood, is it? Something like
Hollywood that? Also, I don't know. Yes. But anyway, Jack Arts, they are brilliant. And they've worked with lots of artists throughout the year, bringing sort of interest and positivity to cities around the whole of the country. So, it was a joy that they let me put my Sundance, although I was very worried that the sun had gone when it went up, because it went up sort of September or something. And then suddenly we had this fantastic Indian summer and the sun was just streaming down, and it was just like, oh, wow, that was so lucky that the sun came out. So
and there you were posing in front of a wall where it was up with Elvis.
With little Elvis, yeah.
Which I got to meet last week, which was lovely.
He's He's asleep underneath here.
Is he? Oh, bless him. I bet it's been lovely having a dog in the last year. I'm definitely going to get round to it.
Dogs are amazing. He's my third Westie, and it's just a joy, and particularly in this time. And he loves being cuddled, and I like cuddling him. So it's sweetie.
Oh, he's lovely. He's definitely, I can't imagine a picture on Instagram of you without Elvis somewhere in the picture.
I know.
So there's new beginnings for you this year. Does it feel like that? Does it feel like that for the world, do you think? Do you think we're sort of like on the cusp of change, that there's going to be this fresh beginning?
Well, I think it's about you collectively wanting it. You have to want something to change. And that's why there's a real danger. When people like Mitterrand, he's the wrong name, whatever the guy, that was like years ago, wasn't it? And I'm like somebody who's seen her. When there's... the French president or something, and he's saying that AstraZeneca's rubbish and everything, and you put this doubt into people's head, and then suddenly everything goes down again, and you're just like, depressing. Obviously you've got to question things, and I'm absolutely right for that. But I do think we all herd in different directions, and as long as there's positive, if somebody puts a negative, then everybody tends to go more for the negative than they realise the strength of the positive. So I do think that actually the only way change will happen is if we collectively work together to make change, not just go slump back into what there was before. So we do actually have to, everybody talks about being together, but we do actually have to work together to make those things and, understand people more, listen to people and listen to our environment, So I think it's harder to obviously to move forward than just to accept what you've got in front of you, really. And if we've learned anything, we do need to make changes, don't we, to all of our lives. And
so what would be your mantra for 2021, Morag, with that usual positive joy that we expect from you?
That's put me on the spot, hasn't it? Well, I think that you need to reassess your lives, how you live them and everything. And then even if you only make small changes, then they're positive, small positive changes, then that's okay. It doesn't have to be like huge, you don't have to like I'm selling my house. You don't have to sell your house or anything,
Same.
You could just do, I don't know, you could just do something different, but it's hard. It's easy to do the same and it's hard to break that. And I know myself because this place is really quite empty now, but I've had a lot of things. Like I had a lot of stuff, a lot of things, and it was getting me down and down and down and down. And I was looking at it, it was depressing me every day, but I wouldn't do anything about it until one day I just said, right, that's it. I'm just going to go down in that basement. I'm going to sit in that basement for days and days and days. And I'm going to go through all this stuff that had been there for 20 years, had not been touched and stuff. And I just thought, I got to do, because that was another thing from my mum dying. We had to clear her house and she didn't want it. She wasn't ready to die. She didn't know she was going to die. Oh. But when you're left to clear through somebody's stuff, I just realized that I don't want to leave this for somebody. So it's better that I edit it. But that takes a lot of mental thing to go, right, I am just going to do this thing. And it doesn't happen all the time. And I'm the worst person. But if I decide I'm going to do something, you just got to knuckle down and you've got to do it. Yeah. And you got to be, and then you see the results. And of course, once you see the results, then it's an amazing feeling, and a feeling that you never thought you were going to feel. You just felt you were always going to have this thing on your, like weighing you down all the time. So that was a long answer. Sorry.
No, that was great. I was about to say, and then you realise that you're going to list your house on the Modern House and sell it and move on. And actually, that's really positive.
That wasn't at all an intention. It wasn't at all what I imagined was going to happen. Absolutely. So that was just a journey. Well, I hate that word journey, but that was just a...
Okay, got it. Journey, pictures, clients, style, artist, designer.
But that was just something that happened. And that's why you should never say never. You never know, do you? You never know what's going to... How you feel. And you shouldn't restrict yourself by thinking that you shouldn't do things. Who's telling you those things,
Well, thank you ever so much for sharing your journey so far. Journey. Only joking. Thank you for sharing your story, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you, Morag.
Thank you. It's been really enjoyable, and I hope there's been something of interest. I've really enjoyed it. It's like therapy. I've had. Thank you.
Me too. I'm like talking to somebody who's like, had an amazing. Am I allowed to say the word career?
Yeah.
I've loved it. So thank you, and thanks for finding the time amongst everything that's going on for you. So thank you.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Creative Boom podcast. I am your host, Katie Cowan. Thanks also to our sponsor, Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp that's helped students achieve award-winning portfolios and land incredible jobs in as little as 3 months. To find out more, go to shillingtoneducation.com. To listen or subscribe to the Creative Boom podcast, visit creativeboom.com/podcast. Oh, and don't forget to leave us a review if you're enjoying the show. Join me next time when my guest will be illustrator, designer and hand lettering artist, Ashwin Chacko.